Hello out there in podcast land, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Dennis Carroll, the Midnight Hunter. Welcome to another edition of Hunting the Shadows. All right, crew, let's get together. We're ready to go hunting some shadows. It's Werewolf Wednesday tonight. Absolutely. I want to welcome everyone into the chat room as we gather in the grotto tonight on this cold, dark winter's night. We have some warm tales about werewolves to talk about. Absolutely. It was vampires last week, werewolves this week. I may even throw in some giant spiders. You never know. I want to welcome the crew here. Hello, Kyle. Hello, Danette. Good to have you here. And yes, I hope you're all good and warm out there tonight. If not, maybe this program will warm you up a little bit. I hope so. Anyway. But it's been an interesting week so far. Very busy. Did a great podcast with my brother Drew, yesterday on cryptid warfare, which will be coming out soon on familiar spirits. You do not want to miss this one. Whoa, we went deep into this stuff. Okay. Oh, it's something else. Very dark stuff, but it needs to be out there. It needs to be put out there. It needs to be talked about. Absolutely. I want to welcome everyone in. We've got some new warriors out there. Will Kilroy's here. Hello. And we're slowly gathering in the grotto. There he is. Her, whichever the case may be. I would think it's a male. I'm not sure about that, though. You have to be careful nowadays, okay, with the names. But anyway, I appreciate you all being here. And like I said, it's been a very interesting week so far. We're at the top of the hill. Hopefully, it's going down, but we got more snow that's coming this weekend. So we got another storm brewing out there. And I would rather see snow than ice, though. I still have ice, plenty of ice out there. Matter of fact, my gates are iced up. So I'm going to have to take care of them tomorrow. I got some places I got to be tomorrow. So definitely I want to do that. I've got my World War II pilot's jacket on tonight. As you can see, the insignias on it. It's my Hogan's Heroes Edition jacket. But anyway, hello, Lawrence. The Shadow Wolf is in the house. Hello. I hope we got a lot of shadow wolves out there tonight. Yes, sir. And I hope you enjoyed the little thing I did the other day and some of the other stuff we've been putting out. We had an edition of spooky stuff. If you missed it, go to the channel and check it out. It was a good story. You're going to want to hear that vampire story, okay? Absolutely. And we also did another few minutes with the word edition. Check Showdown on the Mountain. Go check that out if you missed it as well. So we're trying to put some good content out for you folks. Absolutely. And we want to get there and keep you entertained and in the knowledge loop. Absolutely. Tonight, it's Werewolf Wednesday. Werewolves are my favorite cryptid. Everybody knows that. As a matter of fact, they go back into my family. I'm going to be talking about that tonight. And I'm going to talk about the very interesting story of the 200-year-old werewolf that contacted me a few months ago. You need to hear this story, too. The 200-year-old werewolf. Yep, absolutely. And we've got some other things we're going to talk about. And I'm going to even throw some giant spiders in here tonight, folks. I know how you people love those spiders out there, you know. Think about the giant spiders, the size of like small calves or large dogs, like a golden retriever sized spider. Think about that a moment. Okay, well, there are things like that reported in this world, my friends. Absolutely. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight, too. So we've got an interesting night ahead of us. Okay, so stay with me. You're going to be glad you did. Absolutely. We're going to hunt some of those shadows out there. All right. And I have in the works, we have another Chantel Mayberg thing coming up. It won't be this week, but maybe next week. I hope that we might even get back together again with Jesse on that. And Jess and I had a great show the other day. If you missed that, go to Aquarius Rising Africa. and check it out on it. It's also a link on my channel to it as well. Great show on vampires and werewolves. And unfortunately, on that show, I didn't get to go too deep into the werewolves, and I want to talk about that tonight. I'll get a little bit deeper with that. What do you mean I've got werewolves in my family? Well, that's an interesting thing to start with. I'll get into that, though. I'm going to save that for a little bit later on. You don't want to miss that, definitely. But werewolves, like I said, are my favorite cryptid, okay? Because I think, it goes back to my childhood. One of my favorite monster movies, by the way, was The Wolfman, the original one with Lon Chaney Jr. Lon Chaney Jr. was born to play that role. Okay, absolutely. I can't think of anybody else that could have handled it as good as he did. Great, and it was so good that Universal kept bringing him back for more sequels and stuff. And finally, a lot of people don't know this, but finally in the Universal movies, he finally got cured of his his werewolf thing going on. So that's interesting to think about too. 8-legged freaks. So yeah, those 8-legged freaks will get you, buddy. Better watch out for them, Lawrence. But but Lawrence Talbot. Speaking of Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman, has been I've actually used that as an AKA once in a while. I've signed up for things as Mr. Lawrence Talbot. By the way, that's one of my A-lists, okay? And it was kind of a joke to me. A lot of people didn't realize, who that name really belongs to, the Wolfman, okay? But here's the interesting thing about the Wolfman. We're going to get deep into this tonight. There are different kinds of werewolves, folks. We've got to look at it. We got to understand there's something going on where some of them want to be werewolves. Some of them do not want to be werewolves, like that 200-year-old werewolf I'm going to tell you about tonight. But we got to remember there are different types of werewolves. And but here's the interesting thing, and one of the reasons why I think, that the werewolf is such an interesting cryptid, because he comes from different directions, okay? You can have a werewolf made by black magic. You can have a werewolf as a result of a curse. You can have somebody bitten by a werewolf. Now, getting clawed up doesn't matter, okay? You got to actually be bitten by a werewolf, supposedly, okay? That's the thing about that. But there are different ways to become werewolves, okay? And it can be a family curse. It can be different things going on here. And then you've got different types of werewolves. You've got the full-blown 100% werewolf that can run on all fours and looks like some gigantic monster wolf thing, okay? And it can walk like a man and it can walk like a wolf, okay? That's the werewolf, all right? That is the werewolf. But then you've got the Wolfman. Now, the Wolfman is different than a werewolf, okay? The Wolfman has a lot more of a man left about him, okay? He looks more like you and me and not like the body of a wolf. You understand what I'm saying? That's the Wolfman. Just think of the Wolfman from the original movie I'm talking about, okay? Think about Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman. He's a Wolfman. That's why he's called the Wolfman, okay? He is a quasi-somewhat werewolf that looks more human than wolf, okay? But he still looks wolf, all right? That's the Wolfman. I know that sounds confusing, but that's what you're looking at with the Wolfman, okay? And then you've got wolf-headed people. You've got the wolf-headed beings. They have a complete, this is the wolf, okay, the wolver in Scotland has the body of a human but the head of a wolf. Did you get that? And then we're going to talk about the Fila in Ireland. Okay, Ireland has its own werewolves. Everywhere you go in Europe, you got werewolves. Okay, don't forget that. You got werewolf to back to werewolf. Okay, you got back-to-back werewolf in Europe, no matter where you go. But in different parts of the world, you got different shape-shifting things. Okay, South America, you got the Aztecs, the Mayans. You got jaguar men. People who turn into jaguars, okay? And then in Africa, you've got lion men and leopard men. People who turn into lions and leopards, okay? The leopard men were real big, by the way. The leopard men, they never really stamped them out, although the colonial British Empire tried to do that, and so did the German Empire. They tried to stamp out the leopard men in Africa to no avail. They are still there, my friends. They still exist. They are a political force. Did you hear what I just said? They are a political force in some of the nations of Africa. Think about that, okay? Yeah, the cinephilia. That's the other or dog-headed men. They are sometimes said they're more like a dog head than a wolf head. Now you might ask me what's the difference in the dog and a wolf head? Okay, now the dog head is more like that of golden retriever, can have floppy ears or can have standing up ears like a German shepherd. But a wolf usually its ears stand up. Okay. But they're not as long as a German shepherd. But the main thing that differentiates between a wolf and a dog is the snout, okay, and the jaw. The jaw of the wolf is somewhat longer than that of a dog. But because its jaw is a little bit, and its nose is broader, most of the time a regular dog has a more narrow nose, okay? Even more narrow than that of a collie, all right? But the dog that we want to mainly look at as the dog-headed people would be a wild dog than a dog breed. Okay, you gotta remember something about dogs. Let me say this before we get into wolves, okay? Because wolves are some of my favorite animals. My two favorite animals of all time are lions and wolves, okay? And I love them both, okay? Equally. But you gotta remember something about this, okay? The dog breeds that are out there are not naturally occurring in nature. Men designed that. This is designer stuff, folks. Just like they, and farmers any farmers like Kyle here and knows what I'm about to talk about here. How do you get a mule? You don't usually breed mule to mule. You get a mule by breeding a horse and a what? Donkey. You get a mule, and mules usually are what? Sterile. Right, Kyle? You know about that, don't you, Kyle? The Vulcans are Norse, I think. The Vulcans. We'll talk about that in a minute, long. But I'll tell you, the main ones is the main ones in Vikings are the Uffendar. The Uffendar. They are the wolf warriors of the Viking wolf warriors. They're like the berserkers. That's the bear warriors. Okay, the berserkers. They turned into bears. The Uffendar turned into wolves, okay? And then you got the Dacian wolf warriors. In Romania and Hungary, they turned into wolves, okay? So you got this all over Europe, wherever you go, okay? You got that story. But let me keep going with the dogs here a minute. Most all the dog breeds you see in the world were designed by people. They were bred that way to do certain things. You got shepherd dogs, they shepherd sheep. You've got bulldogs that herd bulls. You've got, fox terriers. They go after foxes. Different dog breeds were bred for different purposes, okay, by men. They do not occur naturally in nature. The only ones that occur in nature are the wild dogs. Like the wild dogs of Africa, you have some in Australia. You have, some like that in different parts of the world. Once upon a time, wild dogs were everywhere. Okay. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that tonight. That's the dog. That's for the dog show. Okay. We'll leave the dogs out of that. But you've got dog-headed people and you've got wolf-headed people. That's the Cynophilian. Okay. And the Greeks talked about these wolf-headed people. Alexander the Great supposedly ran into some of them. You hear a lot of legends about that. And that's an interesting thing, that they were like a whole breed of a human race that had the bodies of humans with the heads of that. And I think it's very interesting that the wolver all the way up in Scotland is described this way. And yet he's a good guy. Okay. He's not bad. He's not going to kill you and eat you up like a regular werewolf does. Okay. He's kind of a good guy. He's sort of a guardian of nature in the Scottish Highlands and mountains and glens and everything. So he's going to probably cut you a break if you ever meet him. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's the way that goes, But getting back to designer animals, and that's what they are, okay? You got other things like horses. You know, Kyle knows this too, being a farmer. You got geldings, you got stallions, you got different types of horses that you breed. Some of them can, and some of them cannot breed because they are dead end breeds. They are sterile, like the mule. The regular farm mule was sterile, okay? But you, and look at the greyhound, okay? The greyhound dog, you get it from usually crossing a Rottweiler with a whippet. Now, a whippet is a smaller kind of dog that was designed for bird hunting, okay? That's how you get a greyhound, okay? You got me? So this is how men have really been hybridizing these things. They've really been screwing around with nature here, folks. Mankind is very good at that, okay? And certain other factors in this world are very good at it too. That's where you get a lot of cryptids from, okay? We do know that way back in history, so-called fallen angels, or the rebellion angels as I like to call them, were messing around with nature that way. And that's where you get a lot of cryptids from, supposedly, okay? Hello, Tareen. So you got to remember that too. And so they weren't the only ones screwing around with nature. Men, for many, many centuries, have been screwing around with nature. Look at the dogs, look at the horses, look at sheep, different sheep and cows and chickens. The list goes on and on and on. We have been playing God, folks, big time. And some of it come out pretty good, and some of it did not, okay? But how does that relate to werewolves? I'm getting back to that. The wolf man, who has all the actually got the hair all over him, but he looks like a man with a head of a wolf, okay? And it's not that much of a wolf-looking head. It's got hair on it. It's got a snout. It's got shorter ears and all that. Just think of Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman, okay? That's a perfect example, okay? Now, let me tell you something about the Wolfman, okay? The Wolfman is usually the result of a werewolf curse in the family line, okay? Got me? That's the Wolfman. He usually comes from the werewolf curse of a werewolf bloodline, okay? Now, full-blown werewolf can also come that. It just depends on what type of a black magic curse has been instituted here. Okay, let me get to that. The Wolfman usually comes from a curse that has been implemented by being bitten by a werewolf. Okay? So if you are bitten by a full-blown 100% werewolf, you're going to come out, usually turn out to be a Wolfman or wolf girl, as the case may be. So you're going to have the attributes of the werewolf, but you're not going to be a full-blown werewolf. But you're going to be just as dangerous, my friends. Absolutely. You don't want to run into either one of these guys, okay? Hurt is ingrained in a border. Yeah, they are bred for these things, Kyle. Absolutely, you know. But there you go. And Tareen, that is not good to have heating issues right now. Absolutely not. We will be praying for you, definitely. Hope that everything comes out good with you on that, okay? So anyway, that's where you're coming from with the Wolfman or Wolf Girl, as the case may be, okay? They're not a full-blown 100% werewolf, but they will kill you just the same. So don't think you're going to cut a break on that one, okay? But now when you go back to the full-blown werewolf, okay, whether it be curse or black magic or both, you're dealing with a monster, okay? And this is my favorite werewolf. The Wolfman's okay. That's neat. But the full-blown 100% werewolf, that's my favorite because he is ultimate power. He is an apex killer. He's worse than the shark on land. He will come after you. He gets your scent. He will not stop until he finds you. And I've said this before, and I really mean this. I'm serious about it. We do not have that many werewolf reports online and in record because most people don't live to give them when they encounter werewolves. They don't live to give a report later, okay? They live to see Dogman. They might even live to see Wolfman. But if you encounter a 100% werewolf, you've got some bad problems, okay? Only your maker will get you out of this problem, okay? Only your creator was the one that probably said, because I actually think I saw a werewolf one time, okay? And the reason I say I think I did, I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't say 100% sure. But it will do till the real doggone thing comes along. But the only reason I can tell you this is because it did not see me. Okay? Think about that statement for a moment. The only time you'll ever get to talk about the werewolf is it did not see you. And that's very unusual, but you got lucky, okay? You got lucky. You were fortunate. You were a fortunate son or daughter, as the case may be, if you lived to tell about him, okay? Because the werewolf is not going to cut you a break. He's not going to let you go. He is going to kill you in the worst way possible, tear you into pieces, and then just for meanness, he's going to eat a little bit of you, just for the heck of it. He's not going to be hungry, but he's just going to be the ultimate insult. He's going to chew on you a while and spit you out. Werewolves are mean, downright mean, ugly when they get to it. And they will not stop when they catch your scent. That's why they make great assassins. Did you hear that word? Assassins. And they are used as assassins by certain people, and the government is one of them, and the church is another, and the witch covens are another. They use werewolves as assassins and guardians. Okay, let's just say I'm a mean and evil warlock, Kyle, and I want to come after you, Kyle. I want to really shake you up, Kyle. I will send a werewolf to visit you. Okay, I can conjure one up. I can send it to visit you. No. It's not a good idea to hunt these creatures. Absolutely not. I'll tell people that, I say, look, a lot of people, I'm going out looking for werewolves. Go look for Dogman. Okay, I feel a lot better if you're looking for Dogman. Don't go looking for werewolves. You do not want to find a werewolf. Trust me on this one, okay? You do not want to find one. But if I was a mean and evil warlock and I wanted to get back at Kyle Smith, I would send a werewolf to visit him. Okay? And I can tell the werewolf to do one of two things. You send him a message by just showing yourself, or you go ahead and eat Kyle. You got my permission. Because that's my assassin. Okay? I know that don't sound good, but that's the way people work. And when they have witch wars, when covens have it out with each other, and they do this a lot, okay? They get in battles, they get in wars with each other. They will send werewolves after each other. Oh, yeah. Vampire cults do it too. Werewolf cults do it too. Yeah. Werewolf is the perfect one to you. I would not send the chupacabra after you. Okay? No, I probably wouldn't even send Bigfoot after you. I'd send a werewolf after you because I want to get the job done. You understand what I'm saying? Kyle said he don't need that. Okay, I'm not going to do it, Kyle. Okay? I'll keep my werewolf at home, okay? Anyway, I'm serious, though. That's what they do here, okay? Hello, Scott's Live. That's what they do with these things. And I don't blame them. I mean, I can understand where they're coming from with that, because that is an apex psycho killer thing here, buddy. It's not going to stop till it wipes you out. That's it. Hello, Diana. You need a 50 caliber. You need one of those 50 caliber machine guns, Kyle. Okay. Mount it on your tractor. There you go. But anyway, I shot one of those one time, but that is an experience. I have to tell you about something. It shook every bone in my body, but it was fun, okay? But anyway, if people go out maybe to film and get more of this, don't you, it'll cost them their lives. Absolutely. I mean, I do not advise that. If you're going to go look for something, please go look for unicorns, okay? Go look for unicorns all day long. Go look for centaurs. But don't mess with werewolves. Trust me, you do. Trust me on this one. You don't want to go that way, okay? Because it will not turn out good. It will not turn out good. But anyway, that's what you're dealing with here, okay? And what fuels the true 100% werewolf? Absolute, unfettered, animalistic demonic power. That's where you're coming from with a werewolf, okay? It's demonic. It's still got the mind of a man or a woman, as the case may be, but it's demonic. Okay, demonic power. Okay, that's why it's so much makes us a great assassin. It makes it go, but that's why it's so dangerous. You understand? It's not just an animal. Let me tell you this, my friends. Okay, I have run into plenty of bears in my time. I mean, I have got close enough to bears to hug their neck if I wanted to. Okay, which I would not advise. Okay. But I've got that close to him accidentally. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't stupid enough to go out and try to get my selfie with him. Okay, don't do that. I mean, but it just occurred that way. Okay, I didn't plan it. But I have run into a lot of bears. I've seen mountain lions. I've seen wolves. I've seen coyotes. I've seen everything out there. I've seen wolverines, honey badgers, the whole works. Okay, I've seen those in a zoo, by the way. The honey badgers and the wolverines. I saw them in the zoo. I've seen these things, but actually I've encountered some of these things in the woods. Okay, I'm still here to tell you about it, but I did not encounter one up on a werewolf. Okay, but these are animals. You got to remember that when you run into the bear or whatever's going on here, and you better hope it ain't a she bear with some cubs around. Okay, but if you run into that, you're dealing with an animal. But when you run into a werewolf, you're dealing with an animal with a mind of a man. Boy, that is really dangerous. You understand what I'm saying about? What I'm talking about here, okay? So anyway, that's what makes it so downright dangerous and interesting in my book too, because there you are dealing with a demonic fury in the form of an animal with the mind of a man. Let me repeat that again for you. You're dealing with demonic power in the form of a wolf with the mind of a man. It don't get much worse than that, my friends. Okay, think about it. Okay, absolutely. But that's the werewolf. Okay, imagine a honey badger man. That is interesting. Yeah. Or a Wolverine man, like in the comic book Wolverine. Okay. I always thought you need to get a better haircut. But anyway, I like the claws, though. The claws are real handy. The werewolf has some big claws, too, by the way, speaking of claws. But if he claws you up, you'll probably live to tell about another day. If you get away from him and all that, you're not cursed. But if you get bitten by a 100% full-blown werewolf, you got a problem. Because next rising of the moon or next night, you may not be who you really are anymore. You may be something else. You may be the wolf man. Okay? And you might remember in the original Wolfman, that was a 100% werewolf that bit him. You remember that? That was Bela Lugosi. He was a werewolf, but it was a four-legged werewolf that bit him. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that, but that was in the movie. Okay, but anyway, that's why he had the werewolf curse. He didn't want that. He went around telling everybody, please kill me. I don't want to live like this. I'm a murderer. I go out and kill people, and I don't even remember it, you know. He did. He was a good guy. You know, I've always felt sorry for him, you know. That's why I like that movie so much, because he was trying to do the right thing, you know. Finally, though, thank goodness he did get cured from it, okay. But anyway, I felt sorry for him. He was in a bad situation. He was in a bad, between a rock and a hard place, as we say here in the South, okay? A bad rock and a hard place, okay? You don't ever want to get there. Tasmanian devil, ooh, that would be bad. Tasmanian devil man. But anyway, there are some, you know, if you're a shapeshifter, you can do that. If you have the demonic power of shapeshifting, you can turn into whatever blooming animal you want to. You could probably even turn into a unicorn. No problem. But only virgins can ride a unicorn. Don't forget that, okay? Nobody can ride you unless they're a virgin. And you're not going to find too many of them. Trust me, you're not going to get ridden too much. But anyway, that's the way that story goes with unicorns. And I was thinking about today, I was actually doing some TikTok stuff. And there's somebody said in Spain, they actually took a picture of a unicorn on the side of a mountain, which is basically AI, but it was pretty good AI. You know, I got to hand them that part on it. But anyway. Getting back to werewolves, okay? We don't want to deviate from that. That's what makes them so dangerous, the mind of a man. So they still can think and reason more than an animal can. Okay, what is it? I want to ask you this, okay, Kyle, Diana, Scott, all the rest of you out there. What is the number one weapon you were born with? Not the gun you own, not the knife in your kitchen drawer. What was the number one weapon that you were born with? Was it claws? No. No matter how far you let your fingernails go, they don't do so much, okay? What's the number one weapon? Teeth? Yeah, that's pretty good. If you got good teeth, you might could do some damage. But the number one weapon you were born with, my friends, is your mind. That's what your God gave you, your mind. That's your number one thing. That's what's going to help you survive, not your teeth, not your fingernails, not your ability to run real fast. That's going to help, though. Okay, that will help. Unless you're going up against a cheetah, then you got a problem, okay? I'm going to tell you something about bears. You know, a lot of people think bears are slow. No. I've seen bears move as fast as a doggone horse almost. William Nighthawk's in here. He knows what I'm talking about. Bears can be fast when they want to. They can move out. Yes, sir. So don't ever think you're going to outrun a bear. Most of the time, you're not going to do that. I believe I could, though, if I had to. Okay. But you know, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight race because bears are fast. Okay. The werewolf is faster. Don't ever forget that. The werewolf is a doggone lot faster. And you're not going to run from a werewolf. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to be, if you survive a werewolf, you are incredibly, incredibly lucky. I want to put some insurance on you, okay? You know, you are incredibly lucky. You probably won't ever get that lucky again, okay? Nuh-uh. Throw some honey at them, the bears, yeah. Well, I don't blame them. I like honey too. But anyway, especially on a buttered biscuit. There you go. Hot butter biscuit. But anyway, I heard of a hunter in Colorado who raised a gun and the bear tore him apart. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're faster than you think. They're just ambling along, you know, eating some berries. They look like Yogi Bear. Don't you believe it? They will tear you into pieces in a second. And stupid people I saw this the other day. There was a bear walking down in downtown Gatlinburg. And some fool walked up to that trying to get a selfie with this bear. Can you imagine that? How stupid can you be? You know what I always say? Stupid will get you killed. Okay? Let me repeat that again. Whether it's werewolves, bears, mountain lions, I don't care what you do. Stupid will get you killed. Okay? Don't you think it won't? No. A lot of people here lately in Michigan have found, and in Minneapolis have found that out. Okay? Stupid will get you killed. Real quick. Speed of a cheetah. Oh, yeah. This is the worst than polar bears. Did you know, by the way, I was reading this the other day. Listen to this, Nighthawk. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Wolverine got out of its cage in a zoo, went in the polar bear cage, and killed a polar bear. Think about this a minute. How big a polar bear is, friend. And that Wolverine killed that thing. And Wolverines are just slightly larger than honey badgers. Okay? Whoa. People do not realize what wild animals can do to you. But take it one step even larger than that. What a werewolf would do to you. Don't go hunt them. Don't go looking for them. You do not want to find a werewolf. Is that right, William? Do you want to find a werewolf, William Nighthawk? He's smart. He knows he doesn't want to find a werewolf. Only in a movie. I can deal with them on TV and in the movies, okay? Or in a book or whatever online. But not in real life. You do not want to find a werewolf. Wolverine's the master of the forest. Absolutely. He's a rough dude, buddy. You do not want to cross paths with a Wolverine either. No. Or even a honey badger can be mean when he wants to be, too. Honey badger is sort of the equivalent of a Tasmanian devil, only with a prettier looking. Okay, that's about it. But anyway, what about the rougarou? Well, let me say that about the rougarou. Now, I want to talk about that a moment. The rougarou is sort of like the wendigo. Now, William knows about this. The wendigo is a spiritual thing, okay? And the Rougarou is kind of spiritual. It's not completely like the Wendigo, but I'm saying it's a little bit related to that, okay? Because it is basically spiritually related. If you do some bad things, then God can turn you into a Rougarou. Let me repeat that again. If you live a bad life and do some bad things, done there and done that right. You do some bad things, you can turn into a Rougarou, and it's a curse, like, okay? But a Rougarou is sort of like a demonic monster too, okay? But it's spiritual. It's a dark spiritual thing, okay? Like the Wendigo, which is a dark spiritual thing too. But that's a completely different thing than it altogether. But anyway, that's the only thing they are. We're relating to them spiritually wise, okay? Rougarou is like a curse put on you by God that turns you to an animal, a beast. It may not look exactly like a werewolf, 100%, but it looks more like a wolf man type thing, okay? In other words, but it's more monstrous looking than a wolf man. I mean, it's just crazy, mixed up looking. It's demonic, okay? And you sort of have the grace of God removed from you. This is going to happen to you. And like the legends and stories of werewolves, if you're mean, downright mean, and just evil, malicious person, you may come back as a werewolf or a vampire. You do bad things. And here's what Shakespeare said, okay? Listen very closely. The good that men do is often interred with their bones, but the evil they do lives long after they are gone. And that is a werewolf and a vampire and all that bad stuff, okay? Evil don't die. Evil doesn't die, okay? Evil is very hard to kill evil. I mean, real extreme evil, okay? There's been reports of it looking like a wild boar and a man, too. Yeah. So this is a curse from God, or, a demonic curse that gets on you. Dr. Carol, does the government use werewolves for battles? I heard they mess with spies. The government, the CIA especially, and as William knows this as well, the CIA is deep into this stuff, supernatural creatures of all kinds. I guarantee you without a doubt, sure as I'm wearing a hat, they are using werewolves, vampires, and who God only knows what else, okay? It includes Dogman, Bigfoot, and the whole rest of it. They weaponize everything. They would weaponize your granny if they wanted to. Okay? You got to remember that. They would do it in a heartbeat. They don't care. They offered me a job. I said, no, thank you. I turned them down. No, I got other things to do. Because most of the only time you ever retire from the CIA is through the morgue. That's the only way you ever retire from the company, okay? And that ain't in good standing either. But they offered me a job, said, hey, would you like to come work for us? I said, no, thanks, And he said, well, we like people with supernatural talents. What does that tell you? Think about that a moment. That's got a broad concept to it. All right? But anyway, that's the government. They weaponize everything. That's what they're all about. Can we use this as a weapon? Can we kill people with it? They love it. Yeah. And just like Trump said the other night, did you hear what the President Trump said? This is what he said. We've got weapons that you don't know anything about. And that's a very true statement, my friends. If he never said anything truer than that, that's it right there. And believe me, the technology that we have right now in our hands, okay, they're 100 years ahead of that. Or more. Maybe even more than 100 years, okay? That's right. MK Ultra never stopped. They never, if something is successful, they will not stop it, right, William? They're not going to stop that. If it works, no. If they can weaponize it, if it's up their alley, yeah, they're going to do it. No problem at all. Yeah, I was not going to hook up with those guys. No. My mama didn't raise no fools, and I didn't fall off turnip wagon yesterday either. Okay. But anyway, now, having said this about werewolves, let me move on to the next chapter. Werewolves in my family. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier the Viking werewolves, okay, the Uthundar, okay, the wolf warriors, or the Dacian wolf warriors in Romania and Hungary and some of those Yugoslavia, those places like that. That's the Dacians. The Dacians used to be the people who inhabited that area back in the Roman days. Romans wiped them out, by the way. But the Dacian wolf warriors were very much like the Uthundar, the Viking Uthundar, or the Berserkers, which were the bear warriors. Okay, I like bears too. Bears are neat. Bears are great animals. The indigenous peoples of the United States considered the true king of the forest as more like the bear. He was really an okay dude. And they really liked the bear. I think they liked the bear better than anything else, actually, in some ways. Of course, the wolf was really in that too. But bears are neat too. Okay, I like bears. And they're okay. And wildcats are good too. Yeah. That's all to be in prison to these cell phones. Absolutely. You know what? That's what somebody told me the other day. Said I can't leave the house before I make sure I got my cell phone. There used to be a time when I didn't think about that when leaving the house. How about you? I mean, that didn't occur to me. Well, I didn't have a cell phone. I said that didn't bother me. But now people feel like they're going out undressed without their cell phone. They've become so attached to it. We are becoming part of the technology, and that's all in their plan, my friends. That's a show for another time. But they are turning us into the technology. They are taking our humanity and making us part of the technology. And that's what black magic is all about. And let me say something, and William knows this. There ain't a whole lot of difference between black magic and technology. Some people say they are really one and the same thing. And I kind of agree with that. Okay? Absolutely. It's just coming from different ways, but it's kind of going down the same road in the end. Okay? And like that old saying, all roads lead to Rome. There you go. A lot of roads lead to witchcraft and alchemy. Think about it, my friends. But anyway, speaking of witchcraft, back to the werewolf. Now, the werewolves in my family, I'm Irish, okay, Carroll. The Carroll family name, or the O'Carrolls of Ireland, goes way back, okay? We go back to the year 365, after the 365 years after the birth of Christ. Up until that time, you didn't have family names. After that, you had family names. Jesus Christ did not have a family name. Think about it a minute, folks. His name was Jesus, son of Joseph, the carpenter. He was actually really, I think, more described as a builder than a carpenter, because I think he did more than just work with wood. But anyway, he didn't have a last name. We call him Jesus Christ. That Christ means the Messiah, but that's not his last name. Jesus didn't have. So you didn't have last names up until about 360 some odd years after Jesus died. Then you begin to get family names. So that's where the Carroll name comes from. Now, the O'Carroll name means warrior. Okay? It means paladin-like, okay, or champion. Okay, that's Gaelic for it, okay? That's the Celtic. Is actually written as in Celtic language is written as Kerkin. But anyway, I won't get into that. It goes way back. But anyway, it's an old family, an old Irish clan from way back, and they lived in Ossory, the county of Ossory. Guess where the Irish werewolves come from, my friends? The county of Ossory. From amongst my people, my family line. Now, that doesn't mean I turn into a werewolf every Friday night, but I'm not saying anything because I'm not going to incriminate myself, okay? I plead the Fifth Amendment. I plead the Fifth here, okay? Earlier I heard was putting shifts to people's heads, that, and uploading. They're doing all kinds of things. Don't think that. We'll talk about that sometime. But, oh, God, yeah. It was. If you knew, William knows what I'm about to talk about, and some of you else know this. If you knew the things I know, that I found out, you would not sleep well at night. You definitely would not. You would not be a very happy person. Trust me. And maybe it's good you don't know some of that stuff. Okay. But anyway. So that's where my family comes from. Orsery. Okay. The O'Carrolls. And that's where the Irish werewolves come from. Now, let me talk about the Irish werewolves a moment. They are called the Fila. That's how you pronounce it. It's not spelled that way. It's spelled Laofadh. Okay, it doesn't look like it at all like it's, but it's pronounced Fila. Fila. And the Fila were supreme warriors. They were a military unit. And they were mercenaries, okay? You could hire the Fila if they wanted to. And in battle, they turned into werewolves. They turned into wolves, supposedly. I mean, and they also wore. And guess what the original name for Ireland was before it became known as the land of Eire? The land of Ireland. Before that, guess what its name was? Wolfland. You got that? Did you hear that? Wolfland. Because Ireland was full of wolves. And some people, supposedly, they turned into them. But they were like warriors. They were smart. They weren't just apex killers like the werewolves I was talking about earlier, okay? They had more of a civilization about them, a civilized manner than a werewolf, true werewolf, okay? So they were what you would call wolf warriors. And they hired themselves out to different lords. If you had a problem, and nobody else could take care of it, you didn't call the A-team. You called the Fila. They will take care of it for you. Okay. How about that? Is that neat or what? All right. Unfortunately, there are no more wolves in Ireland, some people say, but there are still people who bear the blood of those who supposedly can turn into wolves. The wolf warriors known as the Fila, who have a lot in common with the Uffendar of the Vikings or the Dacian wolf warriors. And the list goes on and on, okay? But that's the ones concerning wolves, all right? Hey, like that, is that neat or not? You know what I'm saying? So I need to take a trip to Orsery, to the old place, and check it out. But anyway, Orsery is between Munster and another, and I can't think of what it is, but it's in the very heart of Ireland with access to the ocean. But anyway, it looks like some nice country. The old sod. But there you go. Like the Adelaide race of Greenland and Alaska. Yep. You got them too. So this is a very northern thing here, folks, okay? But now when you get further south, like I said, you run into the lion men, the leopard men, the tiger men of China, and you've got the fox women of Japan. Come on, you got all this. And I'm going to get into the giant spiders here in a minute, okay? But you got all this working against it. You got all these shapeshifters running around out there, all right? Who all watch Dog Soldiers? Heck yeah, Dog Soldiers is a good movie. But that was Irish. I mean, Scottish, not Irish. But I got some Scottish in me too, so I got it from both sides. Right? And I also have some Romanian in me. I've got some Dracula blood there, okay? And some Italian blood as well. I don't know. I'm just a whole mixed up thing here, okay? I've got Viking. I got German. I got a hodgepodge of every bit of that. I'm a true mix, okay? But anyway, mainly Irish, okay? Biggest majority of it. I've got indigenous people blood in me as well. I've got, I'm a whole hodgepodge of stuff. Who knows what else? I may have alien blood too. I don't know. I'll get into that. But anyway, that's the story of my clan, okay? And it was one of the wolf clans of Ireland, definitely. Think you knew a foxy woman in Japan? I've always wondered about that too. How foxy are those fox women? You know what I mean? But anyway, that is interesting when you look at it. But now, like in South America with the Aztecs and of course with the First Nations people, William knows this. You got the Bear Man, okay? The heck with the Dog Man. Think about it. You got the Bear Man. He turns a man that turned a warrior. He had to be a supreme warrior, okay, in the tribe. Had the ability to turn into a bear. He would mop the floor with Dog Man. What are you talking about? Yeah, you got Bear Man. Think about that. And then south with the Aztecs and the Mayans, you got the Jaguar Men. I've seen pictures of weird armor. It looks like things. Yeah. Well, they were designed for certain things, huh? What's that tell you? But anyway, you got this all over the world. You got this shape-shifting stuff going on wherever you may go, whatever culture you run into. And that's on that main list. You always hear me talking about, this got giants and dragons, witches, ghosts, vampires, and shapeshifters. Everywhere. You run in, you encounter this almost every. Look at the North American Indians. They have giants. They talk about giants. They talk about little people too. That's on the list. And they talk about their own people that can turn into animals, shapeshifters, like what? What the skinwalkers? Yeah. You never heard of bear men? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You got bear men. No, it's not as well known, as Dog Man and Bigfoot, but it's there. Yes, it is. I have studied a lot of those. William knows this. I've studied a lot of the, you got what? Bad muff diving man, But yeah, you got to remember this is shape shifting. And if you can shapeshift into one thing, my friends, you probably definitely can shapeshift into another. You can end up being a raven or a crow or a coyote, whatever your heart's desire is. You could shapeshift into a bug, I guess, probably if you wanted to. I don't know. I wouldn't advise that. Somebody might step on you, but you could do that probably, And there are told that some shapeshifters can turn into trees or stumps. So it can be sort of like, the only thing supposedly they can't do is become an inanimate object, like a jar or a mirror or something. They can't do that, supposedly. But they can turn into things that have life in them, like a tree or something like that, or a plant or some sort of bush, maybe. There you go, Yeah, the Bear King. The Bear King was the spirit of the bear. He was the spirit. It looked like it was the actual spirit of a bear. And a lot of the indigenous peoples worshiped that. That was their god. It was a bear god. Okay? Yeah. Iron is average 10, 12 feet tall, said to be an ancient medicine man that can shapeshift. That's the bear man also has another name. I can't think of his name. Machimoto or something like that. Machimoto. He was a very evil medicine man that could change into a big bear. He was a big guy. But anyway, Machimoto, I think his name. But anyway, I have cousins who have American Indian blood. The American Indians knew all these strange creatures. Well, they lived with them, Turin. They lived with these things. When you encounter these things first in person, they definitely make an impression on you that you're not going to forget, if you live to talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. And I have, and as William could tell you, and some other people, we have encountered a lot of these things, my friends. We know they are real, beyond any doubt. They exist in this world along with us. Although most people say, I don't believe in that stuff. That's a bunch of junk. I think it scares them to the point they don't want to believe, although they really do. A lot of people, and people know this. I've heard this so many times over the years. I don't believe in that stuff. But let me tell you what happened to my uncle. They will say they don't believe, but they really do. But they just don't want to admit it. Okay, that's the way that goes. So anyway, that's the way you do it. Okay, that's the way you got to do it if you shapeshift. And most shapeshifting power comes from the darkness. Okay, and here's another thing. Did you know, according to the Bible, angels can shapeshift? They're getting theirs from a good power, though. Okay, they're getting theirs from God, but they can shapeshift. They can. The angels do not actually look like you and me. Not like the pictures you see with them, with the wings. They don't really look like that. They can look like that if they want to, but that's not their true form. If you were to see what an angel really looks like, it'd probably scare you to death. It would. It would really startle you. Let's put it that way. Because they do not actually look human. You know what I'm saying? But they can look human when they want to. That's shapeshifting. They have the ability to do that. Yeah. You know, I was telling somebody that the other day. If you tell me these things don't exist, then I say you're peeing on my leg and trying to tell me it's raining. I'm not going to believe that because I've seen with my own eyes. I've experienced my own self. I know, okay? There's no doubt about it for me. If you see Bigfoot face to face, how can you doubt your own sight? Come on. I mean, that's the way that goes. And witches are real. Witches do a lot of this, a lot of witchcraft going on here, folks. And I said this the other day on the podcast, and I mean it. There has never been a time in the history of humankind that witchcraft has risen to the height that it is doing now. It's in the church. It's in everything. These people that shapeshift into werewolves, they're witches most of the time, unless they got a curse. Unless they're under a curse, that's a different thing. Most of the time, they want to do that. Can you imagine that? Wanting to become something like that. That's not good because eventually, every time you do it, little by little, you lose your humanity and your soul. There's a price for it. There's always a spirit. William knows this. There's always a spiritual price to be paid when you cross that line. And you better be ready for it. And that's why I've had a lot of people come to me. Tell me, Dr. Dennis, tell me how to be a vampire. Tell me how to be a werewolf. Tell me how. I said, look, I'm not going to do that. Because I don't want your blood and your soul on my hands, okay? No. We're not going there. You go find it somewhere else, okay? But I'm not going to participate in that. With great power comes great responsibility. With great knowledge comes even greater responsibility. Okay? And what did Jesus Christ tell you in the Bible? What should it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? You don't want to do that. I'm going to tell you something, Kyle. There's a lot of witchcraft getting in the church, and that's not good. There's a lot of so-called Christians doing tarot cards, a lot of so-called people doing crystal work, a lot of people doing astrology, a lot of people consulting psychics, mediums. No. No, God is big against that, folks. No. You don't want to go there, okay? And you know, they're teaching some of this stuff in the church. They say, oh, you can manifest your destiny now. No, folks. That's witchcraft. That's not faith in God. That's witchcraft. Don't go there. Witchcraft is slowly seeping into every aspect of our lives. They're performing it on stage for you as entertainment. They're putting it on TikTok. You can't, well, you better be careful. I warn you all the time about TikTok is the worst. Instagram just as bad, though. TikTok is worse. Nothing but wall-to-wall curses and spells going on there. You better start thinking about staying off of there. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I've become one of those Christians of believing Hollywood bullshit. Well, no, you can become that, Turin. You can do that. This is dark witchcraft. You can become that, but they are thinking about Hollywood. They don't really realize, you know, you got to forget Hollywood. Throw Hollywood out the door. That's a bunch of junk, okay? But they don't realize. Go to folklore and see what he says. Folklore is what will tell you the true story on a lot of this stuff. But it requires your soul murder and a lot of stuff to do this, okay? William knows what I'm talking about. Dark, evil, blasphemous stuff that you got to do to acquire these powers. It's real, okay? It's just as real as the sun and the sky and the moon and the stars, okay? It is real, and it can be, but you don't want to go there because that's the darkness, and that darkness will eat you up alive. It is the most addictive thing on this planet. Trust me, when you get that power of darkness going in you, you will be more addicted than if you were a heroin addict or a fentanyl addict or whatever. It will addict you more than anything on this planet. You don't want to go there. Trust me, okay? And that's why I tell those people that. No, you don't know what you're asking for. You really don't. If you did, you'd run as far away from it as possible if you had any sense. But what did I say earlier in the program? Stupid will get you killed every time. You're not careful. Okay? So don't do stupid stuff like that. Stay away from that. You don't want to be a werewolf. You don't want to do that, okay? Trust me, you don't want to be a vampire. When you become a vampire, you will immediately begin to change into something that is no longer human. You've lost your humanity. And when your humanity is gone, so is your soul. That's it. You don't have one without the other. Because that's what makes you human. That's what makes you different than a dog or a horse or a donkey, is you got a human soul. They've got a spirit, they got a soul, but it's not human. Don't you understand? And if you lose your human soul, you are no longer, I hate to break it to you, you're no longer a human. That's it. And like I've said that so many times before, okay? Like I said many times before, there's a lot of people walking around out there that they look human, but they're not human anymore. And there's a lot of things walking around out there that looks human and they never were human to begin with. Okay? Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Everything in this world, in this universe, is not what it appears to be. That's why on these podcasts, we tell you to question everything. Investigate it. That's what I like to say. Investigate it. Look into it. Find out. Don't take my word for it. Don't take William's word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Go find out for yourself. Look into it. Deep into it. Investigate it. And you will see the truth. Absolutely. And the cults are just them getting together in a sort of a social club thing to do that with, okay? That's what they are. An evil social club, if you want to put it that way, okay? It's a lot different than the little house in Texas, okay? It's a social club, all right? And that's what they're doing. But it's not like the ladies quilting bee here, or the ladies sewing circle. They're getting together to cast spells and screw up people's lives and create hell on earth. That's what their whole goal is. That's right. When the light leaves your eyes, there's no longer anybody there. There's no longer a soul there anymore, okay? The light's on, but there's nobody home, okay? And that's what happens with possessed people, okay? And somebody asked me that the other day, can a Christian have a demon? Absolutely, yes. You know how you do that? You open certain doors in your life and let those demons in. You're going to have one. I want to tell you something, my dear friends. When it comes to werewolves, vampires, whatever the situation, you have a choice in this world. God, the Almighty Creator, created you. He did the same thing with the angels. You got a choice. You can embrace the darkness, or you can run just as fast as you can away from it and embrace the light. You got a choice. And let me tell you something. In the end, when you stand in front of on Judgment Day, you're going to answer for that choice, whatever it was. Don't you forget that. Yes, the eyes are the windows of the soul. I've looked in those windows, my friend, and what was looking back was not human. It was no longer human. Some of it was demonic. Okay? But anyway, that's what happens when you run into werewolves. Werewolves are usually people who have done that. I'm not talking about the ones with the curse now. I'm talking about the full-blown 100% werewolves. They want to be that. Can you believe that? But that's what they want to do. They are witches, warlocks, sorcerers, whatever name you want to call them. They have surrendered to the darkness. They have become the darkness. And going back to the Bible again, that's what Jesus said. If your eye be full of light, then you're doing okay. But if your eye is full of darkness, how great is that darkness? Once the darkness takes over you, that's it. Most people don't come back from that. I hate to say it. You're incredibly lucky. God's looking out. Only God can bring you back from that darkness. That's it. But here's the bad part. You don't want to come back from that darkness. Don't you see what I'm saying? You don't want to usually come back from that darkness. And that's what damns you forever to the kingdom of darkness. Yeah, they think it's cool. They think it's okay. It's a fun thing to do. They do not realize what the price is to pay. Like I said to William just earlier, when you deal with darkness, there is always a price to pay. You don't think there won't be. There will be. Everything you do has a price to it, whether it's good or bad, you know? If you put out negative, you're going to get back negative. If you put out positive, most of the time you're going to get back positive. Although sometimes you'll get some negative from negative people. I'm going to tell you something. I want you to never forget this, my friends. And then I'm going to talk about giant spiders here, okay? But let me tell you something very quick, all right? Most people hate you. Listen to very closely what I'm going to tell you. Most people that hate you, I mean, really, really, really hate you, it's not them. It's the demon in them that hates you. Do you see what I'm saying? See where I'm going? You see, if they really, really out hating people, they've got a darkness in them. And it's that demon in them that hates you. Because demons hate all of us. It's not just you. You don't smell bad or something. No, it's not that. They hate all human beings. Okay? It's true, Diana. I agree with you 100%. Giant spiders. Yeah, I'm going to switch to them in a minute. But anyway, that's what happens with the werewolf. He's running on a fuel of hate and darkness and evil and anger, demonic evil, demonic darkness, demonic hatred, demonic jealousy, demonic power. That's where he's coming from. And that's what makes him such a vicious killer. And that's what I called him, an apex psycho killer. That's what he is. Absolutely, Terry. It will take everything from you. The darkness will take it. It eats you up alive like a spiritual cancer. Wife wants a flamethrower now. We get into the giant spiders here, okay? But I'm serious, you know. I'm gonna tell you something, folks, okay? That's your werewolf, okay? Watch out for werewolves. But if you ever think you got a werewolf problem, please call me. We'll know what to do about that, okay? But now I'm going to talk about the Jabberwocky. Jabberwocky. Let me say that again for you. Jabberwocky. Let's say it together. Jabberwocky. This is African for giant spider. Okay. Now, I find giant spiders absolutely fascinating, okay? Now, I'm not, spiders don't bother me. I don't want them on me. I mean, in case I, have one that's like a black widow or brown recluse. I don't want them on me. I don't play with spiders. I knew a girl one time that actually had a pet spider, one of the most dangerous spiders in the world, and that darn thing bit her, and she stayed in a hospital 3 months because of it. How stupid can you get? What did I say about stupid getting you killed? I like they got her killed. She was very lucky. no. You don't need to play with stuff like that. No. But now, just a spider getting on me. I've been bitten by spiders, and it hurts, but I've never actually been, bitten by a very bad one. But it ain't a good feeling. But I don't have a fear of spiders. Some people do. Well, some spiders, they ready to burn the house down if they find a spider in the house. Do not call 911. There you go. Oh, they're not going if you call 911 about a werewolf, they're going to hang up on you. Okay. So you might as well call me. Anyway, I heard a little about those giant spiders. Yeah. Now let me say something in the Congo of Africa, the Jabafofi is a legend. And it may be real. This may be a cryptid that is absolutely 100% real, and it would not surprise me, okay? Because listen, once upon a time, if you believe the Bible, which I do, I am a minister, okay? I love the Bible. Bible's my number one book. I would not have a library without my Bibles in it, okay? It is a very brilliant book. It tells you a lot of things. You learn immense things about it. It's full of heroes and dragons and giants and monsters. The list goes on and on. I love the Bible, not just because of that, but it is the best book that you can study in. Now, if you believe the Bible, as I do as a Christian minister, that once upon a time, this world was a lot different than it is right now. Before the flood, things were a lot bigger. I believe that Adam and Eve were probably around 9 or 10 or maybe 12 feet tall. I believe people were a lot bigger back in the day, and that's why they lived longer too, by the way. Okay. All right. And this world was different. We know this. Science tells us that there were mosquitoes as big as an eagle. Think about that a minute, folks. Would you want to get bit by that sucker? He would suck all your blood out, wouldn't he? Come on, think about that. I do not want to run into eagle-sized mosquitoes. But that has been on this planet. There have been, everything was big. Once upon a time, trees. Look at the gigantic trees that existed. Everything was big. Would that not include spiders? Think about it. Yes, of course. If you got giant mosquitoes, you definitely got what? Giant snakes and spiders here, folks. Yeah, wolf spiders can get big. But now the spider I'm talking about is the size of a small calf or maybe like a golden retriever. Can you imagine that? And some people say they've taken film of these things crossing the path in the Congo. One man went on the trail trying to find these. He found their nest. He said it had a spider egg. Are you ready for this? Spider eggs hanging in the nest that were the size of pumpkins. Pumpkins. Basketballs. Think about that a minute, folks. A spider egg. Now, spiders, when they come out of the egg, they're little, okay? Can you imagine what size of a spider would come out of a basketball-sized egg? Think about that a moment. Yeah, they come out at night. And there was a camp in the Congo of people who were out looking for these spiders that supposedly 3 or 4 people disappeared out of and then have never been found. And this guy found a giant spider web. He found the nest under. He found part of somebody's shirt in this spider web. Do you know what that is? Spiders leave their kill in the web, okay, because they feed on it. They keep going back and feeding on it. And all they do, when they bite you, they paralyze you. They paralyze you and leave you in the nest, wrap you up in a cocoon, and come back and feed on you while you're still alive. You die a very slow, excruciating death under the teeth of a spider. Yeah. And I guarantee you without a doubt, okay, listen to me closely, the government's probably got some of these diagum spiders, okay? Absolutely, this is another weapon you would not pass up. And these spider, and he said the spider webs were like ropes. Can you imagine this? Now, the silk on this, on the silk spiders, silk on these webs was like ropes. And it said they had acid on them. In other words, if you got caught in the web, it started feeding on you, getting you ready for the spider to dine. And as Dracula said, the spider feeding on the fly. Mm-hmm. The blood is the life. Think about this a minute. That's a scary thought. Giant spiders are creepy. They are definitely creepy. They said these things come down on you out of the trees, grab you, and take you back up, and you just disappear. And they said they'd be walking in a line through the Congo, and John Boy at the back of the line, he's just gone. He's not there anymore. They pick you off one at a time when you get, and they actually had, he said he found this out. These spiders have a territory. Once you get in that territory, they start stalking you. This is something to think about. And then the Congo, they call it the Jabafofi. That's his name, the Jabafofi, the giant spiders. And they have known about these things for hundreds of years, supposedly. And they warn their children, there's certain places you do not go in the jungle, because you will not come back. And one of those places is the territory of the Jabafofi. I would love to go looking for one of them. I definitely would. That would please me very much to take an expedition into the Congo. But I tell you one thing, folks, and I would tell my buddies in the expedition, keep watching the trees, because that's where they're going to probably come down on you from. Think about it. Can you imagine spiders that size and what they would do to you? It ain't a pretty thought. Hello, Jason. Good to have you here, buddy. You missed most of the show, though. We're talking giant spiders. But I'm just saying, that's something, And the reason I threw them in tonight, because this is Werewolf Wednesday. But I just wanted to tell you, I've been doing some research in that, and it's getting very... We'll get back. We'll probably have a show one hour on nothing but giant spiders, okay? So you might want to get your bug spray ready, okay? Or your flamethrower, as Kyle said. You might want a flamethrower for that one. But I'm serious. I would hunt the Jabafofi with a flamethrower. I would want me a flamethrower, okay? Absolutely. I'd roast that spider real quick. But I'm just saying, I'd love to go looking for that. That is downright interesting, is it not? But it would not surprise me. There are reports of giant snakes in these jungles, my friends. I mean, snakes that can eat you alive, devour you whole, and then regurgitate your bones later. Well, I'm going to tell you, my friends, okay, I do not hunt anything, whatever it may be, without protection, okay? That would be stupid. You never go on a monster hunt of any kind without protection, okay? Don't forget that. It's very important. Protect yourself going in and coming out. William knows what I'm talking about here. This is darkness that you're dealing with. I don't care where it's coming from, whether it's government, coming out of the church, I don't care where it's coming from. It's still darkness. And I want to tell you something. Don't you ever forget this. If you never see me again, you remember this, okay? Darkness is your worst enemy. I'm talking about spiritual darkness here, okay? And the real physical darkness can be bad too, because you don't know what's coming after you in the dark. But spiritual darkness is your worst enemy. Always, always be prepared for it. Anacondas with Jack Black just came out. Yeah, I heard about that. But, Jack Black, he's kind of nutty sometimes. I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, I know Caleb. Caleb and I know each other well. Yeah. But I'm just saying, darkness is your enemy. Don't you ever forget that. It's very important. And always be ready for it. Be conditioned against it. I don't care if it's holy water in your pocket, okay, or whatever, okay? Be ready for it. Faith is the number one weapon against the darkness, okay? Faith over fear, my friends, okay? Faith over fear. Don't ever forget that. It's very, very important. Okay? Trust me. All right? But you want to be ready for that. You got to go. Okay, William, take care, bud. Eat your curds and whey. There you go. Watch out for them spiders when you do. I've never been one to sit on a muffin eating curds and whey that much myself. But if it's your bag, somebody might want to try it. You go ahead and do that. But be careful. I've heard it causes spiders. But anyway, yeah, be ready for the darkness, okay? Because that's what you're probably going to encounter. Absolutely, most of the time. But anyway, giant spiders, that's a very interesting thing to me. To me, that's downright interesting. But like you got giant snakes, you got, giant praying mantis that's supposed to have been seen. Everything once upon a time upon this planet was bigger than life. A whole lot bigger than life. Is it not plausible then to think, my friends, that maybe some of that might still be remaining out there in God-forsaken parts of the world? Think about it, okay? Oh, let's see what we got. We got $1.99 sticker from Ida. Hello, thank you, Ida. Thank you for that, dear. I appreciate that. I'm trying to put it up on screen, but it won't let me. For some stupid reason. There we go. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. And it's good to be appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, we've got to understand this world was once a much more different place than it is now. Okay. And things were a lot bigger. Things were a lot different than they once were. And it's not that impossible that in certain places of the world these things remain. But there have been reports of giant spiders in Texas, Georgia. I'm just getting into this, okay? But anyway, it's very smart. I mean, it's very interesting stuff. Giant. I've always been intrigued by that because I remember as a kid, I liked to watch the giant insect monster movies, like the giant ants and stuff like that, or the tarantulas. Remember that one? Clint Eastwood came in a fighter jet and killed the tarantulas, by the way. But I'm just saying, it's all giant scorpions. Wow, that's wild. So it's not that far fetched that they could be. Look at the giant sea turtles, how big they get. Come on, spiders could do that if they wanted. I mean, that's a possibility. But this spider was not just an ordinary big spider. The Jabberwocky is like a monster. It is, it has this web that burns you like acid. It has an intelligence. It has a stalking capability. It is a super spider. And if you're going to have a big spider, pray that you don't have a super spider. That's not good. Because the Jabberwocky supposedly can jump 20 or 30 feet on you. He doesn't chase you. He just jumps you. Boom. That's it. You're gone, buddy. Or he comes down on you out of the trees. And you're just it. That's your spider food. You're going to be taking up residence on the web. And you're going to slowly be eaten alive. That's a bad way to go. I feel sorry for the bug or anything that the spiders get a hold of because they eat them alive. Not good. Nope, not good at all. But once upon a time, things were bigger. And we got to remember that. And, even the Bible corresponds to that. And tells us that the world was a once different place. But what if some of this stuff still remains? And, of course, we had supposedly giant floods, supposedly wiped out life. But what if some of this stuff went underground? Or what if the spider eggs didn't get washed away? This guy went in this doggone spider nest and found these basketball-sized spider eggs. Funny you should mention that, cryptid warfare. That's how they killed the giant ants under Los Angeles. They killed them with flamethrowers in Them. Remember that movie, Them? That was a great old monster movie with James Arness. That was a great movie, by the way. Yeah. Had Fess Parker in it, too. Them. A little girl walking in the desert, and all she could say was them, them. You know? They got rid of them with flamethrowers. And I would definitely be packing. If I go look for giant spiders, I'm definitely packing a flamethrower and probably a machine gun just to be on the safe side, just in case. But that is interesting, you know. The Congo's got a lot of legends like that. Like the Mwimbe is supposed to be something like a doggone dinosaur walking around in the Congo swamps. I would love to look for that too. That would be far out as well. Mama Bimbe, I think his name is. But anyway, that's interesting too. The chat's lagging here. There we go. That's very interesting, you know. So that's sort of a monster hunter's dream there, definitely. There's my buddy Cryptid Warfare. We did a great show yesterday, and it will be out soon about the familiar spirits. A very interesting subject, absolutely. But yeah, if you do spot a werewolf and he doesn't spot you, call me immediately. Because don't call 911, they'll hang up on you, okay? And just call me, we'll see what we get done. But anyway, but like I was saying, Cryptid Warfare, I was telling everybody, actually go look for dogmen. Do not go looking for werewolves. You do not want to find a werewolf. Trust me, that's not a good idea. Go look for giant spiders. I would rather look for giant spiders than werewolves, because werewolves, they're not going to cut you a break. They're going to decimate you. I would rather find dogman. If I'm going to look for something, you know, I'm going to look for Bigfoot or dogman or giant spiders. I don't want to encounter werewolves, okay? Werewolves are not good. You're running into the deepest, darkest, absolute demonic power you could ever face when you face a werewolf. And like I said, only your maker, your creator, is going to get you out of that situation, okay? Absolutely alive. Because that's the very nature of the werewolf, okay? But, up in the next right. If you get a werewolf head, I want it for my collection, okay? Anyway, or you make a great rug. Think about that. Make a great rug. But anyway, you're going to be dropping that? Oh, you mean you're going to be dropping the show next Friday? Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell everybody about it, and be watching for the familiar spirits. And it was great. We had a good time. We always have good shows together. It's Cryptid Warfare, great podcast, folks. Check it out. Go over there and give his channel some love. Show his channel a little love over that way. And thanks for letting us know. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, that's your werewolves this Wednesday. And I hope you learned a few things. But werewolf is my favorite cryptid, okay? And like I said, I may have some back in the bloodline because of orcery there. That really threw me a loop. I did not know that. I found out, I said, my gosh, I love it when I find out something I don't know, you know, there's something new like that. I said, my gosh, where did that come from, you know? I may have werewolves in my family line here. My gosh. But I'm going to tell you one more thing about the werewolf before we close tonight, okay? The werewolf is tied to the moon, but he's not a slave to the moon, okay? He doesn't change just because the moon comes up a certain round moon. Werewolves, the main werewolf, now the cursed werewolf is tied more to the moon, okay? Like the Wolfman. But the black magic werewolf, 100% werewolf, can change that night or day anytime he wants to. You understand that? He can become a werewolf in the middle of Sunday school if he wants to. There's no big, you know, he's got control over that. The Wolfman, the cursed Wolfman, does not have control over it, okay? But it's not tied that deeply to the phases of the moon. But I'll tell you why the moon comes into this, okay? The moon comes into this because it is the queen of the night. It symbolizes the power of darkness. Okay? And it's sort of gives them more power. Well, the fuller the moon is, the more weird stuff going on here, the more supernatural power that seems to be in the atmosphere thing. That's what it's all about. Okay. But, and I disagree with Stephen King. They don't run in cycles with the moon. That's Hollywood. Okay. That Stephen King, whether he knows it or not, was influenced a lot by Hollywood. He should have went more to the folklore. I got a new saying. Are y'all ready for it? Here it goes. Follow the folklore. Let me repeat that again for you. Follow the folklore. Okay? You won't go wrong. Forget about Hollywood. Follow the folklore. Okay? Kyle says you do a great show, Drew. I agree with that 100%. But yeah, there's a lot to be learned in folklore. You know, the old wives' tales have a lot to them. Okay, and we need to respect them more than we do. Yeah, because they have a lot to teach us. All right, I've always learned an immense amount of stuff from folklore. But let me tell you this about folklore. Okay, you got to take some of it very carefully because some folklore is influenced by superstition. Okay. Oh, CV Wildcat, I want to tell you something I always wanted to do. I wanted to start a biker gang in London, and we'll call ourselves the Werewolves of London, WOLF, the Werewolf of London's Fraternity. Would that not be neat? We'd have WOLF, Werewolf of London's Fraternity. That would be a great biker gang, by the way. Werewolves on wheels. But anyway, there you go. That's your Werewolf Wednesday tonight, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and that you did pick up and learn a little something from it there. But it is a fascinating subject. And I'm going to tell you something. Every time I pick up a subject on werewolves, I learn something. Okay? I learn something. I love it when I learn something. I learned something new. And silver does not. I'm going to tell you this about the silver thing, okay? Well, yeah, you got to understand. You got to be careful with folklore because some of it is influenced by superstition. And superstition, although it does have, don't forget my favorite quote. Are y'all ready for my favorite quote? Here it is. Every myth and legend known to mankind is not without its authentic foundation. That's what you got to remember when you study folklore, okay? Don't ever forget that. Very important. But anyway, silver don't have a whole lot to do. Now, silver's good, but that's a lot of Hollywood, okay? But silver is known to be a sort of cleansing metal, okay? And that's why it's talked about in folklore somewhat, okay? Like a silver crucifix or silver bullet or silver knife. Silver has the properties of cleansing or being able to cleanse things spiritually, okay? But so does gold. But gold is more expensive. Right now, I think an ounce of gold is like almost $5,000. If you're going to get, please donate me several pounds of gold, okay? If you got any gold laying around, you want to donate it, I'll take all the pounds of gold you got. $5,000 an ounce, a troy ounce, okay? God, whoo. I would love to have a lot of gold, absolutely, but a lot of people would. But anyway, that's the way that goes. But gold is supposed to be a cleansing thing too, but it has to be pure gold. Okay, that's where that term pure gold comes from. Gold out of the ground is not pure. Silver usually comes out. This is why they like silver, okay? Silver usually comes out of the ground pure or purer than gold. Gold has to be burnt to burn off the excess and have pure gold, okay? Pure gold does not come out of the ground. You heat it up to purify gold to get rid of all the excess stuff in it. Then you got pure gold, okay? But you got to treat it. That's why you got 14, 12, and karat gold, okay? You got me? Silver doesn't have to be that way. Of course, you got sterling silver, which is supposed to be the very best polished silver. That's basically what it is. Silver is silver. When it comes out of the ground, it's silver, okay? But let me give you a quick hint for you wannabe monster hunters out there, okay? If you can't afford a silver bullet, next best thing, coat your bullet with silver nitrate. Let me repeat that again. You can coat your bullet with silver nitrate. You've got almost like a silver bullet. It will definitely, supposedly, kill a werewolf, all right? But let me tell you this. It ain't going to work. I don't care how much silver it is and not. It's got to be blessed. That's what does the job, okay? It can be a silver knife. But this silver knife, and it's pure silver, okay, is blessed. That's what gives it its power over darkness. Okay? Don't ever forget that. It's very important. If it ain't blessed, you are you are in a bad situation. Okay? Trust me. Yeah, gold has impurities. Silver has a few impurities, but it's more pure coming out of the ground than gold. Okay? And so when the ancient people saw that, they said, hey, this must be good stuff here, It's, God gave it to us in a much better form than even gold. Silver, once upon a time, that's why they minted coins made of silver more than gold. It was more easy to work with, and it was pure, and you didn't have to do a lot to it like you did with gold. That's why gold is so much more valuable. It has to be treated. And that's why God said in the Bible, my gold is what tried by fire. It's pure. He was talking about his people, not gold. Blood and Chocolate. That was a good werewolf movie, by the way. Blood and Chocolate. But I got another movie I want to recommend. I recommend it to my good buddy Drew there from Cryptid Warfare. If you have not ever seen the movie with Antonio whatever his name is, Banderas, check it out. The Body. That's Body. The Body. The Body. It is about them finding Christ body, or supposedly in a tomb. Okay, great movie. It's for free right now on. You can watch it for free on Prime. If you got Prime, it's on there. Great. You will love this movie if you've never seen it. The Body. Great uplifting movie. This is not a horror movie, okay? This is a great uplifting movie spiritually. All right, check it out. The Body. Great movie. It's a movie about faith, okay? And it is a great movie. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Like that about having those items blessed. Faith is what gets the job done, Karen. Absolutely. When I was a cop, I blessed my bullets and my gun. And I even blessed my handcuffs. Try to keep the germs off of them. But I'm serious. I did. I did. And prayed. I never had to use them. But they were blessed. And if you want a gun, listen to me very closely. If you want a knife that cuts right, or you want a gun that goes on its mark, then it needs to be blessed. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Because that gives it more power. That gives it more pizzazz. It gives it more of the juice that you need. Okay? Check out The Body, okay? Because it's a great, great movie. Check out The Body. Antonio Banderas, I believe his last name is. He's the one that plays Zorro, He's a great Zorro, by the way. He's a good actor, great actor. Mexican actor, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, how do you kill bad energy in that room? You walk into it and get it. I have no bad energy in my house because I keep it out. I bless my house on a regular basis, okay? I salt it, I anoint it, I pray it over. I have some bad people out there. I'll be honest with you, okay? And some of my people know about this. Some of you shadows know. But I've got some people that out there that do not like me. Okay. They keep putting curses and spells on me. Okay. Death spells, death curses, whatever you want to call it. So I've got some bad juju coming up against me sometimes. You're blessed to gun yourself. I will teach you how to do this. Okay. Coming up very soon, I'm going to make a tutorial on how to make your own holy water, how to bless items, how to bless your house. Okay. I'm going to do a tutorial on it very soon. Is you a Spaniard? Okay. Well, whatever. But anyway, I'm going to show y'all guys how to do that because I get a lot of requests. Tell me how to do this, how to do that. You can do this yourself, okay? If you got faith in God, you have the authority. I didn't give it to you. You don't buy it at Walmart. Jesus Christ, the Lord God, gave you that authority. You got it. It's yours. And when you bless things, or cleanse things spiritually, you're using that authority, okay? And when you make holy water, you're using that authority. When you pray, you need to use that authority, okay? Trust me. I'm going to do a thing on this, okay? And it's going to be one of the most important videos I have ever done. But it's coming, okay? It's coming. I promise you. And you're going to want to save this video, okay? And this is not going to be just for members. It's going to be for everybody, okay? Thank you, Darren. I mean, I've got some people out there that do not like me, okay? And they wish me very bad harm. But that's okay. I'm under the blood. And that's where that's what the authority does for you. The authority puts you under the blood of Jesus, okay? And then that's where you want to be. All right. And then you got nothing to worry about with the darkness. Okay. I don't know how many spells they cast on you. I don't care. It ain't going to work. It's going to bounce off you like water off of a duck's back. Okay. I'm going to do it, Terry. I'm going to do that. That's sad, but a lot of people don't know how to be alone to black sheep. They think I am God, but God takes and brings us. A lot of these people, it ain't just hating me because I'm not doing that fantastic thing. If they see you trying to do good things, they really start working against you. You know, that's part of the price you pay for that, but that's okay. But, I had a preacher tell me that many years ago. He said, when you fight the devil, you got to understand one thing. Don't ever forget it. He's going to fight back. Okay, that's very important that you realize that. Okay, I don't care ever how you do it or what you do. If you fight against the devil, he's going to fight back. You might as well get that in mind. Okay, be ready for it. Be ready for it. That's just the way that works. Okay, if he don't fight you back, evidently he's already got you. If he's not bothering you, you got a problem. Okay, we need to talk about it. You got a problem. All right. So if you come to me and say, well, the devil ain't bothering me, then we got a problem. We need to talk about it. All right. He bothers everybody. If he doesn't bother you, I got bad news for you. You ain't a Christian. Let me repeat that again. If the devil ain't bothering you, doing something against you, ain't a Christian. You already on his team. And trust me, you don't want to be on his team. You don't want to go there. But that's where he wants you. But if he ain't bothering you, we need to talk about it. Because there's something going on there with that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but I'm going to do that very soon. What it is, the reason why I've got to get the setup. I got to get everything set up so that I can, show you good with the camera and everything, okay? Because the camera's not going to be on, most of the time, not going to be on me. It's going to be on doing what I'm. So I'm going to have to fix the camera. But I've got something that will do that, okay? So I just got to get it fixed up. It's stronger than any evil. Absolutely. Oh, Jesus. Bats 100 on that every time, my friend. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. I'm going to tell you something about God. The most wonderful thing about God, Jesus Christ, and all that, they never fail. There's no failure. But they do not. You are the one that fails, but they don't fail. Okay, God does what He's going to do. Okay, don't ever forget that. It doesn't matter what people think as long as you know you're a good person like attracts them. Well, but still, you gonna, you're doing good. You're trying to do things. You're going down you could even be going down the street, tipping your hat and saying good day to people, have a good morning. And the evil sees it. They're gonna try to trip you up. That's just the way. That's just their job. It's like that story about I think Trump told it about the eagle that picked the snake up and tried to do a good deed and take him across the river. And so he picked the snake up and he was taking the snake across the river. And the snake said, I appreciate it. When he got across the river, the snake bit him. And the eagle said, why do you do that? And the snake said, well, I'm a snake. That's what I do. I thought you knew that. That's true. I mean, that's the way that goes. Let me tell you one more thing right quick before we close tonight, okay? Eagles circle their nest 3 times before they light. Why do they do that? A lot of birds do that. Why do they do that? God put that in because they're looking for a snake in their nest. Snakes will get in the nest and try to grab that bird so they're checking that nest out. Be careful of the snakes in your nest, my friends. Okay? Well, I did write a book about that, Terry. It is called Beyond the Shadows. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you want a copy of it, it is available, and you can also get it with their, Kindle. If you don't want to buy the actual book, you can get the Kindle version of it and read it for like a couple of bucks. Beyond the Shadows, a field guide to the paranormal. Okay, it's available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Just look up the author, Dennis W. Carroll, okay? And you will find it, all right? But anyway, I'll tell a lot about how to protect in that, but really it needs to be updated. I'm going to have to update that book one day, definitely. It's got a lot of updates to be done to it and all. But anyway, I want to do the video tutorial on that because I get a lot of requests for that, and I think this is good information that needs to be out there. I got something right here in my hand that a lot of demons hate. You know what that is? They can't stand this, folks. You ought to go out and get you one, okay? It would not hurt to ring this in your house every now and then. Oh, God, they hate that. They hate that, okay? They do not like bells at all, okay? So, you ought to get you a good bell. Ring it every now and then. I like to make them leave. But anyway, I have a couple of books. You might want to read my other book, which is called The Road Unseen, A Paranormal Journey into High Strangeness. It sort of has a little bit of like a paranormal encyclopedia in it too. So it's got a lot of interesting and some of the experiences I've had. It's a pretty good. I like it. It's my favorite. It's sort of my favorite because I put a lot into that, But anyway, those books are all available on. I have 4 or 5 books available on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. Okay, but anyway, sound of a bell. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why church bells. That's why churches ring bells, my friends. Okay. They're signaling heaven. That's a signal to heaven, by the way. That's why demons hate it. Okay. It's vibration of heaven. They don't like it. What's the story about the bell? Well, like I said, it's a vibrational spiritual thing. Okay. And here's the bad thing I think about this. Okay. Now listen to what I'm about to tell you. Most churches now no longer have bells. And you may hear them ringing bells on Sunday, but it's a recording. That ain't going to work. You got to do the real deal here. It's the vibration of it. Okay? That's what it is. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. And you ever heard that expression, hell's bells? Hell does not have bells. Hell's bells are the screams of the damned. Let me repeat that again for you. Hell's bells are the screams of the damned. Those are the only bells in hell. Okay. Okay. But anyway, I've got some more books I'm working on, and hopefully I will have one out very soon called Paracryptidology, Hunting Monsters and Things of Nightmare. Okay, that's coming. And also I'm still working on the next one, The Demon Factor, Beyond the Edge of Supernatural Darkness. I've been working on that for a good many years now. It's going to be an epic because I'm putting a heck of a lot of information about demons in there. Information that definitely people need to know. Okay. By the way, demons do not cast a shadow. Certain spiritual entities, like vampires, do not cast a shadow because they are spiritual. Spiritual beings don't usually cast a shadow. Okay. That's why I want to warn you about that. Okay. But giant spiders do. And werewolves do because they're physical. Okay. Although they've got a spiritual energy in them, they are physical form. Vampires can be physical form too. Okay. But they can be spiritual as well. So that spiritual form of the vampire does not cast a shadow, which is why vampires do not have a reflection. They are spiritual. But spiritual things can sometimes have a reflection. Ghosts can show up in mirrors. Or demons can do that. But they don't like mirrors because supposedly we can't see them, but they can see themselves in a mirror. Demons hate mirrors. They don't. Listen very closely to what I'm telling you. I've got a little mirror facing out in every window of my house. That keeps demons out. Did you know that? They hate mirrors just as much as they hate bells. They hate mirrors. Yeah, it was fun until I fell into the bell and couldn't hear right for a week. Bells will do that to you, absolutely. But most churches nowadays, they got a recorded bell. That's not going to work. It's got to have a real bell, okay? It's the vibration of it. And it says that it's the vibration that heaven hears. So you're like hooking up with heaven when you ring the bell, okay? That's what they say. Remember, lost a family member today. Can we end the show with a prayer? Oh, I didn't know that. We will definitely do it. We will have a prayer. Absolutely. I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences. Absolutely. I recently lost a family member too. So we will definitely do a prayer before we close tonight. But anyway, there are certain things you can do, and I'm going to be talking about these in the future that, you don't put your faith in these things, my friend, but it's just sort of like a safeguard, something to do just in case, I cannot tell you for 100% sure that mirrors will keep demons out, but if there's a possibility they don't like it, I'm going to do it. Okay, that's just the way it goes. If it ain't going against, God, I'm going to do it. And God didn't say any bad thing about mirrors in your windows. So, hey, if it keeps them out, that's good with me. And it would be good with God, too. I don't see why he'd not be pleased with that, But your faith is not in that. Faith only in God. Faith over fear. But that faith has got to be grounded in God, okay? Or it just ain't going to work. Your faith is dead. But faith without works is dead, too, okay? Don't forget that. Faith over fear wins every time. Okay. Real faith. All right. But anyway, the thing we gotta remember, okay, whatever, if it's something good that is pleasing and it's not, bad, you need to do it. If it's just things gonna help you, it's not gonna hurt. Put it that way, okay? But and if the devil don't like it, I definitely do. And as Shakespeare said, all your life through, tell the truth and shame the devil. Okay, so I like to shame him every chance I get. God does have your back. Absolutely. God's always got your six. But just make sure you are dealing with the right God here. Okay, I'm talking about, a lot of people that say God, 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 they got some kind of weird thing in their mind. It's not the real deal. Or they're talking about some other type of God or something they made. I don't know, whatever the situation is, make sure the real God of the universe has got your back. He's got your six, okay? That's the main thing. Because he's not going to let you down. He's not going to let you down. Everybody else may let you down. He's not going to let you down, all right? That's like I said earlier. He never fails. He never fails. And let me tell you something, my friends. I have done thousands of house cleansing and location exorcisms, and not one time has God ever failed. Not one time. And I've had a lot of pushback on that. I've had them knock things out of my hand. I've had them slam doors in my faces and try to drop windows on me to stop me from doing that. But hey, don't you ever, if you ever start doing, don't you ever stop, because you're keeping God from doing what he's going to do. Okay? You don't want to do that. You're there as a vessel to be used for that purpose. You hurt him because you can't be around those family members that keep you down there. I'm going to tell you something about that Wildcat. And I like your name, by the way, Wildcat. That used to be my nickname many years ago. They used to call me Wildcat. Anyway, the whole thing about it is we can pick our friends. We can pick and choose our friends, but we're born with our families. And if you got a good family, you got a good blessing. But some people are not blessed that way, unfortunately. And that's a bad situation. Absolutely. We can be born into some very disconnected type families and stuff. That's very bad. But let me tell you something, okay? Your real true family is God in heaven. He's your father. He's looking out for you. If you got nobody in this world and you still got God, you got everything, okay? Trust me, all right? Absolutely. But sometimes our family disappoints us. Sometimes they don't do. But you know what? That's their problem, not yours. I mean, if you didn't do anything to cause it, and you're in the right side of it, that's not your problem. That's their problem. They're the ones that's got a problem, not you. That's the way you got to look at it, okay? So you got to pray for these people. Prayer. You got to have, and I talked about this on Drew's show the other day, intercessory prayer, okay? That's different than just praying. That's intercessory. You're praying for somebody else. You're asking God to bless that person or do something for that person. God loves that. That's a humble heart. Don't ever fail to do intercessory prayer, okay? All right? Very important. That's one of your main weapons against darkness, okay? Don't forget that. It's very important. But I appreciate you all tonight, and I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for the stickers. That's going to help out with the podcast this month. And I was falling a little bit short, but that's going to help out. Thank you for the stickers. I appreciate that very much, and thank you for your support. That helped me a lot, and I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful. You will never know from the bottom of my heart how much I appreciate not just your financial support, but just being here and helping with this, just being there. That's the main thing, and helping out and being interested. I forgive all and give it all to God. I would deal with that person's forgiveness. Very important. Absolutely. I said this the other day, mercy and forgiveness. If you do not have it, you will never get it. Let me repeat that again for you. Mercy and forgiveness. If you do not have it for others, you will never get it. God cannot have mercy and forgive you if you don't have mercy and forgive others. That was something, my dear friends, that will definitely keep you out of heaven in a heartbeat. Yes, it will. God strictly warns you in his word. You got to forgive. You got to have mercy and forgive other people. I mean, really forgive them. Because if you don't, he can't forgive you. Don't you let the sun go down And don't you lay your head on your bed without forgiving people for whatever they may have done to you. Have mercy. The merciful shall obtain mercy, Jesus said. And that's very, very true. Okay. And mercy is forgiveness. Okay. And if you don't forgive, God cannot forgive you. Very important. I can't stress how important that is, you know. I've got a good friend right now that absolutely hates my guts. That wishes I don't take another breath for something I did not do. I was misjudged about, okay? But I do not hate that. I forgive them wholeheartedly. I love them, okay? To this day, I will always be their friend. Although they're no longer my friend, I will be their friend. I'm here for them. I love them, and I will never stop loving them. I don't have a hate switch. I don't want one. No, thank you. I ain't got one on order, okay? But we got to be careful. There's a lot of people out there walking around with that hate switch, and it's flipped on hate. It's stuck on hate. We don't want to go there. Don't do that. That's the trick of the devil. He wants you to hate people. No. That's what all this control is about. This MK Ultra and all this other stuff we talking about. This control is to get you to hate somebody else. They control you with hatred and anger and evil like this. Don't you understand? That's what their plan is. Don't you fall for that. Okay? And just like my friend I'm talking about, that's her problem. I've done everything I can do about it, but that's her problem. I've asked her, I begged her to forgive me. If I did whatever think I did or did something I didn't know, did you forgive me? But no, if you can't find forgiveness and mercy, that's your problem. I hope you don't have that problem. I don't want that. You know, I would love to make it right, but I have only done everything I can do on it, okay? And that's all that you're required to do. God wants you to do your best. And once you've done your best, you know, you've done it. It's no longer your problem. Okay? Don't forget that. It's very important. Yes, hate sucks. Hate sucks big time. It takes everything away from you. I've said this before. For you to have a grudge against somebody holds your heart in hostage. Don't ever do that, my friends. Don't go around with having a grudge against somebody, having something against somebody. That holds your heart in hostage. Not theirs, yours. You're hurting yourself. Don't do that. You're hurting yourself not just physically, but spiritually and mentally. You ever heard that expression, they living in your head rent-free? You don't want that. And you're probably living in their head rent-free. That's not good either, but that's their problem. See what I'm saying here? You can only do what you can do, okay? So understand that, you know? I do a lot of counseling. I don't know what I'm talking about here. So don't go that way. That's what the shadow governments of this world want to control people with hatred. They want me to hate you because you're brown or Asian or something. Or they want you to hate me because I'm white. Don't fall for this trick. Okay? That's what they do. That's how they pigeonhole you and put you right where they want you. Let's not do that. God doesn't want that. God doesn't want that. Okay? Let's not do that. Okay? We are supposed to be children of God. Let's act like children of God. Okay? You got to walk the walk, talk the talk. Okay? Let's do that. All right? If we're going to say we're one thing, let's do it. Okay? I told that one time we were on investigation. I told that to a girl one time. I said, if you're going to be a monster hunter, then be one. Don't just talk about it. Be one. Or if you're going to investigate something, don't talk about it. Do it. There comes a point where you got to quit talking about it and you got to do it. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk. But mostly you got to walk the walk. Now, if you're going to be a Christian, walk the walk. Follow Christ. Do what he tells you, wants you to do. Okay? If you're going to be a child of God, act like one. Have respect for other children of God. And guess who that is? That's everybody. Okay? That's not just certain colored people or certain people come from a different country or planet or whatever the situation is. Okay? That's the main thing. You got to keep that in mind. Okay? But I appreciate you all for being here tonight and hanging in there with me. Don't let the devil know your plans. That's true, Kyle. Do not tell everything you know. You know, my grandmother used to warn me about that. Said, don't tell everything you know, because then I'll know everything you know and everything I know too. So he was warning me. That's very true. Say, and Jesus warned you about that. Don't let the enemy know your plans, because he's always listening and watching. He's always got eyes on you, watching to see what you're doing. They want to screw you up, okay? So keep your plans under wraps as much as possible. Nothing else. I always say God doesn't segregate people. He will not divide us in heaven by race. Absolutely not. God does not see the outside of you. You can be beautiful. You can be ugly as the backside of an unpainted barn. God still loves you. It don't matter what you look like. He looks at your heart, not what's on the outside and what kind of fancy clothes you're wearing, how much money you got in the bank, or if you're sitting sipping a martini on your yacht in the Mediterranean. God doesn't care about that kind of stuff, folks. God cares about what's in your heart, the real you. That's why you got to ride. That's true, Diane. You got to wear that armor. Well, that's one of the main things. You're under the blood and you wear the armor. That's all you got to worry about, okay, folks? Under the blood and you're wearing that armor, ain't no evil going to do nothing to you, okay? All right? And I'm talking about the evil darkness in this world, okay? That's right. You didn't pick your family. And if you got a good family, you ought to be thankful for that, because some people don't, unfortunately. But don't let that be your problem. You had no control over that, okay? Don't let that be your problem. Live with it, deal with it, pray for those people, okay? That's my advice. That's what you got to do. But don't let them live rent free in your head, okay? Don't let them control your life. You know, you can rise above that. You don't embrace it, rise above it. Okay, that's the main thing. So anyway, I appreciate you all being here tonight and hanging in there with me till the end here. We've gone over 2 hours, but I appreciate you so very much, and thank you so much for your support. And nothing happening. We've got a good show planned for you Friday night. Guess what we're talking about? Are you ready for this? I'm going to have, hopefully, the Red Pill Preacher here with me, David Roach. We're going to be doing fallen angels, the rebellious angels, the rebel angels, Friday night on the road less traveled. Okay? Don't want to miss this. We're going to get deep into the rebel angels, okay? You don't want to miss it. And believe me, they're still out there and they're still working. They've got a plan for you and for me, and we need to know about it. Okay? So don't you forget it. Friday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel and agency. Remember, if you're a Shadow Wolf, that means you're a part of the agency, okay? And we want to thank some of the people who have donated some of the Shadow Wolf memberships here lately. We've got some new Shadow Wolves. I'm going to be doing another hunt club, the Shadow Hunters Club video very soon here. We got some more stuff we're going to get into and talk about. We're going to have some fun time, okay? Believe me, you don't want to miss it. So, until we get back together again, then, my friends, Godspeed to you all. And, I'm sorry, I'm fixing to miss Sweet Pea. Super $5 sticker. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much, Sweet Pea. I appreciate that, dear. Thank you. You are a blessing. Thank you. I hope you are greatly blessed for that, too, as well. All of the sticker givers are blessed. I hope God will bless you all. That's very generous of you. It helps me out tremendously. I have a lot of expenses. Matter of fact, I just found out today, and what I'm going to have to do, listen to this, okay? Just to illustrate a point. I've got to go on X, and I got to take out the premium, or X is not going to rebroadcast this program on X. So I'm going to have to pay $11 a month just to get that done. So So you see, I have a lot of expenses that goes into this, and none of it's free, unfortunately. I wish it was. I wish it was. I have to pay for StreamYard. I have to pay for the internet connection. I have a lot of expenses, and believe me, you guys are helping me out tremendously, and I do appreciate. I want you to know how very much I appreciate that. And I'm coming under just. I don't know if I'm going to make it quite to the quota for this month, but I appreciate everything you've done. You have helped me tremendously. Trust me, I do appreciate that. You're welcome. New phone. It's just glitchy. All right. Sweet pea. I know how it takes a while to break them in. It's like a pair of shoes. It takes a while to break them in and get them right where you want them. Absolutely. But I appreciate you all being here now. We're going to close with prayer, okay? And we definitely need some prayer after this, definitely. And I want you all to listen very closely now. I want you to just put your hand out while we're praying, okay? And I want you to say, I'm going to agree with you, Dr. Dennis. I'm going to agree with you. We all need to agree on this, okay? Because Jesus said in the Bible, with two or more gather together and agree on it, I will give it to them, okay? Did you hear that? So we got to agree, okay? So when we start praying, we want to agree. So everybody just kind of stretch your hand out and let's go into agreement right now, okay? Dear Heavenly Father, I bring these people to you tonight, the people listening to this broadcast and the ones who will listen to it later. I bring all these people to you tonight before your throne. And I ask you, Lord God Almighty of the universe, creator of all things in this universe, that you will bless them in their lives, that you will show them who you are, that you are a mighty God, the God that Jesus said that with you all things are possible. And I want you to show this to them tonight and bless them. You have given us a promise, okay? And I stand on that promise tonight with these people, that whatsoever we bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever we loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. And tonight we agree together, Lord God Almighty, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ and by the blood of Jesus Christ, that you will pour out your blessings upon our lives, Lord God Almighty, that you will safeguard us and protect us with your holy angels, that you will watch over us and guide us and guard our steps through this life and through the darkness that surrounds us, being our ever-present light that will guide us like a star through the night, Lord God Almighty. Like the star that once led those men to that stable years ago, that star is still shining, and its name is Jesus Christ. And we will follow that star in the darkness till we find the light of God. And I ask you now, Lord God Almighty, that you will place these people under the blood of Jesus Christ. And I bind up anything or any darkness that comes against these people, any contention. I bind up their sorrow. I bind up their troubles. I bind up anything that comes against these people, spells and witchcraft and hexes and curses of any kind. I bind the strong man now in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. And I cast him down forever. I cast him down in your name, Lord God Almighty. And I ask you now that you will loose your blessings, that you will loose your peace and power and protection and love upon all the people listening to this broadcast tonight, that you will loose this them and give them the things that they need and be the God in their lives that they want, and let them be your children from this day forward and forevermore. And we ask this now in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, the one name to which all power is given in heaven and in earth. We ask this in the mighty name of Jesus, and by the blood of Jesus Christ we seal this. And we thank you, Lord God Almighty. We receive it, we believe it, and we thank you for moving tonight. And we praise your holy name. We thank you, Lord God, and we say, in Domine, in Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Ghost, we humbly pray. Deus vult. Amen. All right. Thank you so much tonight for listening. And I appreciate you all for being here. And watch out for those giant spiders now, okay? And if you're walking through the park and you see a great big spider spider web with rope. Don't get around it, okay? Call me. That's another thing you need to call me about, okay? Werewolves and giant spiders, give me a call. I appreciate it, but seriously, I am here for you, okay? You've always been here for me, okay? I want you to know this, my dear friends, to every single one of you. You've been here for me. Don't think for 1 second, don't you ever entertain that thought that I'm not here for you, okay? Whatever I can do for you, I possibly can do for you, I'm here, okay? Absolutely. Don't you ever forget that, and trust in that, okay? As long as there's a little bit of breath left in my body, I'm going to be here for you, okay? So don't worry about all those psychics and mediums out there and witches and people with familiar spirits and all that. We can handle it because we got a greater power on our side, my friends, okay? We got somebody greater than they are. A whole lot greater than they are. That's what I said the other day. That's the one good thing about the devil. He's not God. He's not one little bit like God. He's not. He can't come close to that. No way. He can't hold a candle to it. He can't do it. God is our God's a mighty God, and we got to keep believing that, okay? And you each have been blessed with that tonight. So take it from here on out, all right? And make it yours, all right? But I appreciate you all for being here. Hopefully, the creek, the God, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. I will see you Friday night right here on Hunting the Shadows at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? And until we get back together again, I wish you all Godspeed, faith over fear, hold the line, and hold on to the light, okay? Until we get back together again. And remember, faith over fear. Don't forget that. It's very important. Take care of yourselves until we get back together again, then, my friends. And until then, I will see each one of you somewhere out there in the shadows. Good night and God bless. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or sing but a dream within a dream? You can support Hunting the Shadows at our Patreon, patreon.com, Hunting the Shadows Podcast. Also, our memberships are open on the Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel. Please also support our Facebook groups, the American Institute for Paranormal Research, Southeastern Cryptid Investigations, Legend Trackers Society, Highway to High Strangeness, Monstrum Venators R.S., Agency of the Arcane, and Hunting the Shadows Agency. You can contact Dennis Carroll at DennisWCarroll.com.